Hi guys, it's Marc Zicree of Space Command, also known as Mr. Sci-Fi, also known as many other things. And today I want to talk about a subject that I haven't talked about before, but I think it's an important one. And I just wanted to post it here because we all live in this internet age, and we're all fans of science fiction. If you're here, I assume you're a fan of science fiction. And so let me just go into this. Let me dive in head first. So for a couple of years, I've been doing the Mr. Sci-Fi videos, and initially it started mainly just with people who knew me or were fans of my work, and they would watch the Mr. Sci-Fi videos, and if they commented, whether they agreed or disagreed, they were always very, very respectful and very kind, and they had a sense of appreciation for who I am and what I do. Then I started posting about Star Trek Discovery versus the Orville, and of course that went wide. Thousands and thousands of people wanted to watch the videos and comment on them, and so on and so forth. And the trolls came out, the internet trolls, the trolls, and and then they started watching some of the other Mr. Sci-Fi videos and posting there, and they would often have names like, Nasty Bastard or something like that, which was a tip-off as to what their agenda would be. And, frankly, I can't really fathom their headset, quite frankly, and I'm sure that even doing this video is going to get a lot of negative comments. It's, for me, someone waking up and deciding that they're going to spend their day online just saying really nasty things to other people. What are their lives like? I mean, do they go to restaurants? Do they talk to waitresses and tip well? Do they have jobs that are rewarding? Are they happily married? Are they good to their kids? Who knows? Who knows who these people are? Are they Jekyll and Hydes with this as their alter ego? Or are they just very unhappy people who take it out on the internet? I don't know. And really, this video is not addressed to them. Though maybe if one or two of them, or 3,000 or 4,000, hear my words and maybe start to look in the mirror and think about what they're doing in the world, what they're creating in the world, maybe one or two of them might just say, well, maybe I'm just actually being a negative force, a toxic force, a poisonous force in the world, and maybe they'll reconsider their actions. Because frankly, if you do anything positive in the world, if you compliment someone on their hat, if you're friendly, if someone in front of you in line doesn't have a quarter for their groceries, where they're 25 cents short, and you just give them a quarter or $1 or $5, if you just go out of your way to be kind. If someone's trying to get into a parking space and there's a garbage can behind them that's making it difficult, and you run over and move that garbage can. If you just smile at people or say something friendly, if you open a door for someone, there's a million ways throughout the day that we can be kind. And in our work, we can think about, well, are we doing something that's actually making the world better? That's certainly what I'm trying to do with my career and my life. Because when I was 10, I saw Ray Bradbury speak at a library, and he said, ideally, your life and your work and your art should all come from the same place. The heart is down here. And I took that to heart, and he became a very good friend and mentor. And but I wanted to actually address this to the larger people, the larger fan base who are watching this, and just talk about the issue of cruelty. Because sometimes even just being negative, even having a negative comment about something, think about that. And I'm not saying not to give honest feedback, not to say things, okay, this didn't work for me, but recognize that your opinion is not necessarily the only valid opinion. I'm absolutely open to other people having different opinions from me. Every film, every TV show, every book we read, it's a meeting, it's a conversation between us in all of our life, from where we're born to the moment we're at now, with whatever piece of art we're considering. So even though you may think that every film and every TV show is the same for everyone who watches it, that's not true at all. Everyone is different because they're in communication with that art form via their lives. So if someone doesn't respond to something I've done or doesn't cue into it, that's absolutely fine with me. I do not have a problem with that. But just remember that when you say something mean-spirited or cruel, it makes it harder for people to do their work. And I'm not even just speaking about me, because I don't have to read the comments. I can choose to read them or not read them. But just be mindful that to create anything in this world is a challenge, is hard. And even if it's Ed Wood, even if it's, insert name here, even if it's something that you might think of as a piece of crap, most people don't set out to do crap. Most people, it's hundreds of people putting their time and their efforts and their lives on the line to make something they hope will be meaningful. Doesn't always work, often doesn't work, doesn't coalesce. But just be aware of that, and perhaps if you can just say, well, this didn't work for me, or let's see what happens next time, or good effort, just kind of be mindful of that. And and also say to yourself, am I putting out something toxic in the world? Am I putting out something poisonous in the world? Am I making the world a better place or a worse place? And again, we don't have to be Mahatma Gandhi or Martin Luther King, but we do, I think, have to take responsibility for what we create in the world, what we're putting out into the world. And it's very easy to be casually negative or casually pessimistic or casually cynical. Now, John Sayles, who's a writer whose work I admired, once was being interviewed, and he said, cynicism is cowardice. And I agree with that. If you say to yourself, okay, what's my big dream? What do I want to create? What do I want to make happen in the world? What do I want to stand for? What do I stand for? These are important things to think about. And particularly in science fiction, because science fiction has always been a hopeful medium, a hopeful genre. Even dystopia is a way of saying, let's try and avoid this happening. I once talked to Ray Bradbury about Fahrenheit 451, and he said, Fahrenheit 451 is not dystopic, it's not pessimistic, because there's hope in it that books will survive, that readers will survive, that books have a meaning and a value that will prevail over the worst that a negative government or negative society has to offer. It will not crush freedom of thought. And the opening quotation is, if you have lined paper, write the other way. And I think Ray believed that very strongly. So at Star Trek, of course, is a great message of hope, and Space Command hopes to be that same thing in terms of putting out a hopeful message for the future. I mean, we're all responsible for creating the present we live in and the future that we're going to live in. We cannot change the past, at least until we invent time machines, and that looks like it's going to be a long way off. But we can learn from the past. We can change our behavior. We can change the way we act toward people. We can even change our thoughts and how we think about things. It just takes an effort of will and action, positive action in the world. By the way, remember, if you're just talking about something, complaining about something, that's not the same as doing something about it. So again, look at what you're complaining about, look at what's upsetting you, and say to yourself, what am I doing to make this better? And even if it's a small action, we do not have to quit our jobs and become monks. We do not have to give all of our possessions away to the homeless. But we do have to try, ideally, to make things better. Anyway, enough of me being on my soapbox. But I just want to share this because the internet is a great place for anonymity, and anonymity can certainly spark cruelty, thoughtlessness, unkind actions, and it's up to all of us to do what we can to stop that. And anyway, that's it. And thanks again for watching this, for listening. The next Mr. Sci-Fi will not be preaching how you should behave, or even how I should behave. It will be more about what we've been talking about. But one last thought in terms of science fiction. Science fiction for me as a kid, my parents divorced when I was 3, and I had a great need for escape, and escaping into outer space was the farthest I could go. But it was the time of the space race, and there was an immense sense of humanity coming together to accomplish something spectacular. And when we landed on the moon, the Russians and the Russian government, the American government might have thought it was about politics, but the world didn't. The world thought it was the great thing that humanity had just accomplished. We look up at the stars and we're better for that. And science fiction literature, science fiction conventions were a haven for me. They saved my life, and they've saved many of our lives. And so I just want to speak to that, because science fiction is a great positive force in this world. It always has been, as long as it's existed, since the days of Jules Verne and even before. And so I just wanted to mention that, so we can all celebrate being part of that. And that's it for now. Marc Zicree, Mr. Sci-Fi, and we'll talk again real soon. And thanks very much for everything you bring to my life. Bye-bye.